What you're about to experience are my opinions and truths. I'm suggesting they're possibilities for you to consider, in which you can then come up with your own logical conclusions.
Once that you've decided on a killing, first you make a stone of your heart. And if you find that your hands are still willing, then you can turn a murder into art. There really isn't any need for bloodshed. You just do it with a little more finesse. You can slip a tablet into someone's coffee, and it avoids an awful lot of mess. Because it's murder by numbers. 1, 2, 3. It's as easy to learn as your ABC. It's murder by numbers. 1, 2, 3. It's as easy to learn as your ABC. If you have a taste for this experience, and you're flushed with your very first success, then you must try a twosome or a threesome.
And a very mighty and grand welcome to all the fellow decoders out there around the world, wherever you are. My name is Logan, and this is Decode Your Reality, and today we're going to be breaking down and decoding murder by numbers. And big shout out to the Police, the great band from the 1980s, primarily. The song playing, that's the song that they had, which, is linked to this movie. I'm going to do my best to show you what this movie means. We're going to bring the Police into this. Folks, I'm going to show you with absolute dynamic support that mankind is being used. And for some of you, I know that may be far-fetched and you don't want to, you think man's running this. That's totally fine. I am not going to be on the defense. I am going to show you with all of my decoding efforts and my support that mankind is being used, and this is no exception, and man is not running the show. So as I always say, the time you spend during this decode will be the time, it will be well worth the time you spend. Put on some headphones. Block out the outside world. This one is not only going to be fun, I promise you, ladies and gentlemen, at this very current moment, this is the best decode and research information I have ever put out on the world stage. Here it is. Let's have at it. Let's go. So here are the topics for this decode. In the zero position, the intro, which is what I'm kind of doing now, and then I have a little bit of my methodology. Those of you that are new, welcome out. If you want to know how I decode, or if you're just new to decoding and you want to jump into how I decode, I'm going to show you kind of partly how I do it. Those of you that are returning subscribers, thank you for your support. If you want to skip past that, you can jump down into the description of this decode and look at the timestamps and just go to the next category. But I'm just going to suggest all of you just start off and just go right through this. And those of you that make it to the end, congratulations, because you really want the information. So here we go. In the zero position, the intro and methods. Number 1, we're going to be getting into murder. Murder, because that's what this is kind of all about. Murder by numbers. Number 2, I'm going to bring into this being used. I'm going to be bringing the movie and show you how those people are being used to deliver the movie to the world stage. Number 3, Synchronicity. Yes, the album from the Police. And of course, number 4, the Popo, the Police themselves, the band. I'm going to show you how these guys are being used. And then always love to hear your observations, what you saw. I miss a lot of things. I do make errors. Some of you have caught great eyes. So what did you see during this? Leave your comments down in the description box below. So let's start off with the methodology. For those of you that are new, and even if you're not, just stick with this because I promise you this is going to be pretty profound. I start off typically with numerology. Now, you're going to see throughout this broad transmission that I'm primarily using Chaldean. Why Chaldean? I feel like it's the most pure cipher. It's the oldest known numerology cipher on the planet, by the way. So if you're new to decoding, you want to use Chaldean as your standard to create your foundation. It goes off of the numbers 1 through 8, and it goes off of phonetics. It's directly tied to the English ordinal because that uses the numbers 1 through 26. 2 plus 6 is 8. So these go hand in hand like brother and sister. So Murder by Numbers, I know this is spelled differently than the actual cover on the movie, and we're going to break that down during the movie breakdown. But Murder by Numbers, straight up, as you spell it the way it is, it's the number 53. So we start off with that number 53. And then we go immediately into, and this is in no particular order, by the way, we get the tarot involved. The 77/78 cards of the tarot, if you're including the Fool in 0 and 22. This card right here is the 53rd card in the deck, using the Fool as the 0 and the 22nd card. And it doesn't need any introduction with the photographs on there, the symbolism. 53, Murder by Numbers, and look at what you're getting. You're getting swords through the heart. This is a card of loss, heartbreak. It totally represents murder in its fullest extent. And this, of course, was derived from the Cards of Illumination typical poker deck, which is the 3 spades, which is tied to the Truman Show because we're in a movie, and the number 42 and life, the universe, everything. But that's for another story. So the next layer we can use is through the string of pi. Let's bring in some straight up mathematics. And you'll notice the number 53 through the string of pi, the measurement of a circle, which measures all of our emotions, as I have been showing over and over, is found at the 8th and 9th decimal digit of pi, which of course there's so many ways to observe this, but the 8 is the big standout. Of course, 5 plus 3 is 8, but 8 is the big standout, and that goes into the next layer. I'm going to come back to that. That goes into the next layer of this right here, which is alchemy. And alchemy is the periodic table. And these leave clues and they bridge so many things in the decoding world. And what is this right here? It's the only element that has the abbreviation, the I. It's the I am. What is the I? Well, I'm gonna shortcut this and tell you it's the sun. The eye in the sky. That's what's running the show, or has a big say in it anyway. It's the I am that I am. It's the iodine. And going a step further with this, we then get into the actual number 8 itself. We go right back to straight up mathematics, and here it is. The number 19 is the 8th prime number. And we go right to the tarot again to give us that picture, and the 19th card in the tarot. How about that? It's the freaking sun card. And of course, if you study the sun and the patterns, the analemma it makes as it moves around the world, it forms that figure 8. That's nature now. But how about that? You can see this starting with the 53, jumping into pi, going right back to straight mathematics. It's the prime number, and then the tarot tells us that Murder by Numbers, guess what's doing it? Guess what's running it? Now, I don't know how that works and operates. I just know that's how it operates because I've been showing it over and over, and a lot of you great decoders have been showing it over and over. Sun and moon run the stock market. They run finances. It runs everything down here along with the zodiac symbols. Going a step further, we get into the golden ratio. So we measured through the string of pi. Now we're going to measure through the golden ratio, the 1.61. And now again, nature's pattern with the golden spiral. Where does the number 53 appear? At the 111th decimal digit. 111, 112. But the 111 is the big standout. Anytime you ever see the 111, it's tied to the sun. Because here's the magic square of the sun. 6 rows of 111. 6 rows of 111, there's your 666, and there's the beast above your head. It is the sun. The sun is the beast above our heads, and man is the beast below. Murder by numbers. It's the sun and man. It's the dynamic duo, and the moon, of course. But there's the starting point. This is some of the methodology that I use. I probably could have just ended this right here. I mean, it it shows you. I just gave you a sneak peek. It's the sun. The sun is the big standout, the dragon. The dragon is the sun. The sun is Leo, the lion. Those of you that are Leos in the zodiac, the 5th zodiac sign, well, it's ruled by the sun. So we're going to keep breaking this stuff down. So there's the methodology. Let's get into the first topic. Now, if you weren't enamored by that, if you weren't blown away by that, I'm going to completely smoke you when I show you this whole presentation. Let's get into the first topic, murder. Let's break down murder. Let's break it down. Let's just start off with the Chaldean. I'm going to bring the English in this as well, just to give you a variance. Murder is the number 23 through the Chaldean, and of course, it's tied to the 9 because 23 is the 9th prime number. And I mean, look at this right here. Kill is 9, 23 is the 9th prime number, murder is 23. See how tightly woven this is with the Chaldean? You're not going to find this with other ciphers this tightly woven. You can get some examples, but not this tightly woven. Tying it to the tarot and the cards of illumination and alchemy and all that kind of stuff. So when you really look at this number 23, what is the number 23? Well, it's called the Royal Star of the Lion. Here it is, the Royal Star of the Lion. It's the star Regulus. I could have broke that. Regulus is 28, tied to Lucifer, tied to nickel, tied to the number 5, Devil's Copper. I'm going to get into that anyway, but here it is. The Royal Star of the Lion is the star Regulus. It's the star, it's the heart of the lion in the constellation Leo. There it is. Leo is the 5th zodiac sign, and what is it ruled by? Every one of these zodiacs signs are ruled by a planet. What's Leo ruled by? The sun. The sun. And of course, in Chinese, the 5th zodiac sign is the dragon, the S wave, the dragon wave. That's the shape the sun makes as it moves across the world. This S shape, like a pendulum. So there it is. And now we bring astrology into this decoding world. And it's pretty clear. I'm going to be showing another example of this in a little bit. So let's get into the English. If you're a fan of the English and Chaldean are tied together, brother and sister. Murder is the number 79. You go right to alchemy, and the number 79 is tied to the element gold. And we're all fish. Gold and fish are both 17. Life is 17. Matrix is 17. So we're being used for our energetic gold. That's what this whole reality is based on. In the Latinized version of gold, the expression is called aurum. That's why gold has an abbreviation of the A and the U. And of course, 19 is tied to, we go right back, it's tied to the sun. So what do you think is getting the energy when somebody gets murdered? When somebody dies? Doesn't matter how they die, ladies and gentlemen. I can assure you that. It's just more energy, because when a lot of people that get murdered, their senses get heightened, the adrenaline goes up, whatever happens. And what do you think's getting all that energy? Got to go back somewhere. Well, this is telling us it's the sun. This is telling us it's the sun. This is telling us it's the zodiacs as well, and the dragon and the Chinese. They're all tied together anyway once you start to see all this kind of stuff. But it's led to gold. That's the true essence of this reality, led to gold. And murder is obviously capitalizing on that energy exchange. In the English, aurum is a 74. So it's a 19 in the Chaldean, 74 in the English. What does that lead to? It leads to these two big nouns in religion on the world stage, both, as most of you know, that are decoders, that both of them. These are the two brothers, I feel, Jesus and Thomas, the two fish. It's Jesus and Lucifer. So if you think Jesus is the sun, while Lucifer is the light bringer, what do you think Lucifer is? Same thing. There is no separation, ladies and gentlemen. It's the same thing. Now, the sun may have a personality, just like you and I do, so this could be good cop, bad cop. Yes, for sure. But make no mistake about it, we live inside of a battery, and it's led to gold, and this is allowed because this reality is not real. It's a big movie we live in. How about this element right here? They used to poison people with this. Look at what I'm showing you here. Arsenic. 74, there's Jesus and Lucifer. And there's the 33. Of course, you know, numbers, when you break it down, is going to be the 33. You're going to see that. I'm going to probably come back to this slide. But how about that? There it is. Poison, arsenic, found from murder, going into gold, and the Latinized spelling of it. And it's the sun, folks. That's what runs this reality, or at least has a big say in it. And it's really all about feeding the wolf. Why am I showing Wolfram? Because it's the 74th element. They used to, and of course, this element, as most of you know, if you've been following this great research, they used to make filament in light bulbs out of tungsten. Light bulbs are the so below of the sun. It's a man's version of the sun. And it's all about feeding the wolf. Feed the wolf. That's what it's all about. That's why it's called Wolfram. And when you break down the Wolfram, just let me narrate this for you. It gets very crystal clear. Murder by numbers, feeding the wolf. And, the permutation, which is another nice fancy name of a number anagram, is the 281. And the 281 is the 60th prime number. And there it is. I mean, this is not stretching anything. When you know how to decode, there's no stretching anything when you link the numbers up. The permutations, the anagrams, it's all there. The 182 becomes the 281, and it's the 60th prime, and that's feed the wolf. And what's the Wolfram? And what do you think the wolf is? Here's another layer. These people, they would have to be in on the conspiracy. If you think man's running this, then these people would have to be in on the conspiracy. The Jamie Sams and, the other people that were involved in creating this deck in 1988, they're not trying to mock you. They're not trying to pull the wool over your eyes. No, they're just being used like each and every one of us. There it is. The wolf is the 15. The devil card is the 15. And then there's the sun. It's the sun devil. And I had shown the word spirit equals 19, the word soul equals 19, and then the word ego equals 15. So it's your spirit and your ego. That is who we are and how we're made. We're all about feeding the wolf. And that old Indian proverb, whichever wolf you feed will win the game. It's the black and white wolf. Feed the wolf. And it's the big W. If you watch my Superstars Decoded, it's the big W, because that's what the sun makes as it moves across the sky, the W shape, the M shape. Got Superstar Decoded Part 3 coming out. That one is the creme de la creme of my Superstar Decoded series. So there it is right there, folks. Murder by numbers. What do you think's controlling it? It's the sun. It's the architect running all this. So let's get into the second topic. Oh, this one, now we're going to really get into the meat and potatoes of the movie. I'm going to show you how these people are being used. Here's the director of the movie, Barbet Schroeder from Iran. Do you think he's trying to mock you? Do you think he's trying to pull the wool over your eyes, trying to screw you over in life? Come on, ladies and gentlemen, when are you going to draw the line in the sand with what I'm showing you? These people are being used. Majority of people, I think, they don't even know they're being used. No matter how high of a level. I mean, in Hollywood, man, these people are just, life gets in the way. They just want the money. So this dude right here is the director. Here's his birthday, August 26, 1941, and here's his birth card right here. How I got that is from this boilerplate chart for the Cards of Illumination. We're going to be very transparent so you don't think that I'm trying to pull the wool over your eyes. So here are the 12 months running across the top. If you want these graphics, just send me an email, decodeyourreality@gmail. I got the lineup of the cards here as well. We're going to get into that. But here are the 12 months and the 31 days running vertically along the side. August 26th was his birthday. We come down and here it is. It's the King Hearts card. The King Hearts card is the 13th card in the deck of the natural lineages of the cards. Card 13. That's what this guy has right here. Card 13. Now, I mean, how convenient that Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, got that coming out of my Superstar Part 3 Decoded from the Beatles. So that's what they were singing about. It's the sun. That's why they have Here Comes the Sun, and it's the Game Master, and it's all playing tribute to the sun. The sun runs the show. It wants the energy. And it's Lucy. And this guy's got the Lucy card. He's talking about murder by numbers and how much I've been shown about the sun. Here is the element we tie that into, aluminum. Aluminum has several atomic weights, which are what are measured in laboratory. 26 is its average. 27 is another stable isotope. I'm going to get into that in a minute. But I mean, he's got the 26. What's the card in the tarot? That's the 13. There it is. What are we talking about? What's this whole thing about? Murder, death, killing. These people weren't sitting down with these. These were created a long time ago. Long time ago. These people are being used. And it's murder by what? Murder by numbers. There's the 27. There's the 27. Found from the 13th element. Found from Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, which is the sun. Found from the director of Murder by Numbers, Barbet Schroeder. He's got the 13th card in the deck. Folks, how much more evidence do you need to show you these multiple layers? They're undeniable. This is my support that I would bring to a court of law to support my case if I had to convince a jury. This is all the information I would bring. I have over 250 videos now continually showing the same patterns over and over. We live inside of a fixed reality. It's predestined and it's not real to whatever's observing it because we live inside of a movie. How about the way the sun's spelled? It's spelled S-U-N, but it was also spelled S-O-L. There's the 13. Tied to Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Now you know when you hear that song, Beatles, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, what are they singing about? They're singing about the sun. So what about the actual day, the release date of this movie? Says it all. The release date, April 19th, 2002. Of course, 22 is tied to Taurus and the bull, the bull god, but there's the 19 right there. Again, the sun card. I mean, did they do that on purpose? Well, consciously, probably. But again, it doesn't matter, folks, how conscious you become of this code. You're still being used from the code. You just get observed in it. You just observe it more, and then it observes you back. But even without observing it, people are still being used. There it is. And it's in the sign of Taurus. April 19th. It's going to be in the sign of Aries in the Vedic. Here's the card for April 19th, the 2 diamonds card. Here it is, April 19th. Here's April. And then we come down to the 19. There it is, the 2 diamonds card. The 2 diamonds card right here in the natural lineage of the card. There it is, card number 28. And we go right back to the 28. And lo and behold, we find it tied to this right here called Lucifer. What is Lucifer? Lucy. It's the sun. And it's tied to the number 28 in nickel. Nickel is what are nickels? 5. It's 5. And Leo is the 5th sign that's ruled by the sun. And nickel is called devil's copper. How fitting. See how ridiculous and comical this code is? Are you kidding me? This is so, you can't do anything but laugh when you get to the stage of observing it. And here's the 2 zodiac signs opposite of one another. They form what's called the Jacob's ladder. They feed off one another. It's Taurus, the bull, Scorpio, and Scorpio's got the devil's tail, and Taurus has the devil horns. It's the bull. It's the bull god. And Scorpio is mankind. It's our spinal cords. The tailbone of Scorpio is the stinger of Scorpio is the tailbone of our spine, the coccyx. And then Taurus has the 2 horns, and that is the representation of us having the horns. That's why I continue to say, just be the best little devil you can be. But that's what this is all about. It's all paying tribute to the sun and Lucifer and Lucy. And it's the sun devil. That's what it is. Running movies, running music, running mankind, running the script, running the show. What about the April 19th day itself? Well, it's the 109th day of the year. 110 in leap years. Going into the golden ratio. Why the golden ratio to measure it? Because it's the sun. It's measuring the sun. Nature. The golden ratio. The golden spiral. 109 appears at the 563rd decimal digit. 563, 564, 565. 563, of course, is not just any number. It's the frickin' 103rd prime number. Take that 0 away and you're going to get the 13, and you're going to go right back to this card right there, and being tied to Lucy and Soul and the director of Murder by Numbers. How about that? Of the actual movie day that it came out itself. And going further, what about the 103? It's the 27th prime number. And it's murder by what? Numbers. 27. It's the sun, folks. It's the sun that runs this reality with the moon and the zodiac signs. Can't leave those out. That's why zodiac signs and Vedic astrology is super accurate. Why? Because it's predestined. It'll tell you all about what's going on in your life. You just got to know and study yourself, study yourself, study yourself. Your soul contract, your numerology, your personality type, your Enneagram, your human design. There's so many different layers. And just to support, because people are like, I get a lot of people, why do I use Chaldean? I don't see a lot of people using Chaldean, but, but why are you not using it? It's the most pure cipher. I mean, here's my support for that. Here is the entire alphabet. In Chaldean, it's the 103. And the 103 is the 27th prime number. You can take the English and put them all in there. You're not going to lead to a prime number. It's not going to lead to a prime number. And 27 right there. Chaldean is 27. So you can see it's the most pure cipher there is. Bar none. This is my support for that right there. And the word golden. The golden ratio, the golden sun, 27. And then the popo, the police. What do you think's running the police and the governments? And it's the sun and the moon. That's why you have fiat currency being backed by gold. Gold is the sun. This is my support for why Chaldean is the top dog cipher. And I would encourage you to start using it if you're not. So here's the two main guys for the movie itself. This is the only information I could find on this dude. Tony Gayton, who was the writer of this movie, wrote the screenplay for it. Now, if this is incorrect, then I would just eliminate this from the decode. I'm not going to redo it, but this is I went and searched. I found a few sites. This is all I could find on this guy. He's born on January 1st, the very first day of the year. And, of course, January 1st is the King Spades card. Here it is. There it is, January 1st. It's the only birthday that has this card, by the way. So it's a very, very important birthday, very powerful. 52nd card in the deck, of course, tied to Prison Planet. Think about what I'm showing you. Tied to Prison Planet equals 52. This guy's writing about you're inside of a prison, you're getting murdered. It's by numbers, everything's scripted. That's what all this stuff's about. And there ain't nothing you can do about it. You just got to be the best little devil you can be, decode yourself, figure out what the hell you're doing here, what your purpose is. So this guy's got the King of Spades. This guy who directed the movie is got the King of Hearts. Both kings. The kings always work for the sun. And it's card 13. And when you take the 52 and you add it to the 13, get out your calculators. Here it is. I don't know how much more support any of you that are non-believers in this, that mankind is being used and it's in a script and life is predestined. Well, here it is. This guy has got the 52nd card in the deck. This dude's got the 13. Simple math, 52 and 13 is going to give you this number right there. And here is the actual spelling of it on the movie poster. They use the number 8 for the letter B's. I know some people think this is the number 3, and it could be, but it still is in the shape of the letter E. We're going to get into the 38 and the 83 because those are a big deal. But how about that? These two guys that were the main thrusters for this movie. There it is. And were they sitting down with Chaldean numerology based on their birth cards because they knew what their birth cards are to make sure they name it this way? Do you think they did that? Well, that'll be up to you to make a decision on what you want to believe. And then, of course, 65 is found in this element right here called zinc. And we go right to here in the breakdown of Murder by Numbers and zinc. And this is what I found. Straight up. Zinc is the 30th element. 30 is a big number. Of course, it's tied to the rabbit card, down in the hole, following the rabbit of time into this game. Santa Claus equals 30. Nazareth, like Jesus of Nazareth, equals 30. Jesus was from Nazareth. What do you think he's from? And then zinc, when you do the numerology of it, it's a 16, which is a direct match to this word right here, which is what we're all in. You got to make heaven out of hell. This is what we're in. And that's why there's murder here, because we're in here. And we go in cycles, golden age to dark age, and then it repeats. And lastly, on these two guys, I mean, again, were they sitting down with this right here to figure this out because they knew their birth cards? Maybe, but I doubt it. These guys are just making the movies. They're just being used. But then you go to their birthdays themselves, this guy being born on the 1st, him being born on the 26th, you bring him numbers together, and there is the iodine again, the 53. And 53 is the 16th prime number. Guess what noun or title or name equals the number 53? Yeshua equals the number 53. How about that? That's pretty interesting. In its original spelling, by the way, equals the number 53. It gets you start to think about things. And there's that 53 going back to the number 8 and the sun. It's all playing tribute to the sun, folks. That's what's getting all the energy. So let's actually get into the Police now and their album Synchronicity. Think about the word that this album was titled, Synchronicity. So when you go to this album right here, it was said that it was their most successful. Think about what I'm showing. These are subtleties, but how important is this? Massively important. Their most successful album release ever. And they have this song Murder by Numbers on it. The length of it was 39 minutes and 42 seconds. 39 is linked to Lucifer in its original spelling in the Aramaic. 39 is potassium in the sun. 39 is yttrium in the 88 and No Place Like Home. So, I could just keep going and going and going with this. It's endless. It's bottomless. But as time permits, I'm trying to keep this kind of on the shorter side, but who knows? I don't know how long this one's going to go for. So let's break down this synchronicity. Right? It's got the yellow, blue, and red. You could break down that as well. Why did they choose those colors? And as I showed with the 39 and 42, of course, as you know, 42 tied to that that three swords card, 3 spades, 42, life, the universe, everything, and then you got 39 there. 44 in cassette and CDs, 44 is kill, and of course, gold currency. So this album was released on June 17th. Here's the June 17th card. Another king. I told you all the kings linked to the sun. Just so we can be really transparent, here's June. Let's go down to the 17th. There it is. June 17th is the King Clubs card. It's the 26th card in the deck. Going down to the clubs, here it is. It's the 26th card in the deck. And that's why I have this one right here, aluminum, because aluminum has several atomic weights. As I showed, the 27, 26 gets rounded up to the 27. This is actually isotope 27, but there's the 26. What is the aluminum? Illumination. Illumination. 13 is tied to the total amount of people at the table in the Last Supper. 13. The round table. Aluminum. Illumination. It's the sun. And then you have, I thought this was interesting, you got Vishnu, who's the mediator, kind of like the great balancer of all the great deities in the Vedic and Hinduism traditions. It's 26. And what's this right here? Well, this is the original Aramaic spelling of the Israelite God of the Bible, the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh. So is the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh Vishnu? Are they one and the same? I think so. I don't think there's any separation. It just gets bored with these titles and it wants to change its name. Just like you change your pair of jeans, you buy new shoes, you buy a new car, change houses, apartments, whatever. You get bored. You conform, you want change. This thing's been around for eternity. Changes. Different personifications. They're all the same. So just pick whichever one you like. But it's all going to be linking to the sun and the moon and the zodiac signs, because you're talking about the 12 and 13 on the zodiac wheel, including Ophiuchus. So this card right here, tied from the release date of the Synchronicity album, where Murder by Numbers came off of, is found and goes and hands off to the tarot. These came after the cards of illumination. There it is. The King of Clubs is the King of Wands. Once again, using the Fool as the 0 and 22 card like it typically is. This is the 36th card in the deck. Jesus Christ equals 36 in the Chaldean numerology. What do you think it's pointing to? Well, in alchemy, it's Krypton, which means kind of hidden. And it's got an atomic weight average of 83. 80, there's your mirror of your 38 found in Murder by Numbers. 83 is tied to the incarnation, reincarnation process, as I have shown throughout my decodes of Prison Planet 1, 2, and 3. Here's the magic square of the sun, as I showed earlier, and I got the highlighted 36 because this uses the numbers 1 through 36 added up, and it's going to give you 666, which is the sun above your head, the great beast. So it's right there, pure math, pure alchemy, and then we have the mystical art platforms, the tarot, and the cards of illumination, all linked to synchronicity. So is this all synchronicity? It's all predestined. It's all predestined. How about this song off of the album? This album, again, their most successful, had many hits on it. King of Pain, Every Breath You Take. I'm going to be breaking a few of the songs down because these have every importance to it. So the song Murder by Numbers was a B-side to this song on the A-side called Every Breath You Take. Think about what I'm showing you here about the title of this song. Every breath you take. Who do you think's running that? Your life. Who do you think's running your life? You think you're running your life? You may have some free... I'm not taking anything away from people believing they have free will. I think we have some free will, but we don't have 100% free will. I've come to that conclusion. Just how much do we have? I don't know. But at any time, I think we can get taken out. And it ain't by man. It doesn't have to be done by man. But every breath you take, right there, it says it all. It's the 64 squares on a chessboard, 64 possible codons in our DNA, and that's why I have the double helix behind there. There's the bladder of the fish, there's the 88, there's the 2 eyes, there's the Jesus fish in there. There's so many pieces of symbolism, the football's in there. It's the double helix. It's tied to this element right here, gadolinium, and of course this is the icon the Royal Society of Chemistry decided to use to represent gadolinium. And the reason why they did that, because if you go read about the description of this element, it says they used to make television screens with it. So think about what I'm showing you here. Every breath you take is inside this movie that we're all living out, and it's not real. It's real to us, but just like the Truman Show, it's all layers. It's fractals. That's what this is. That's how I see this. And that's why murder's allowed here. That's why all this craziness in the loony bin. It's a script. It's like Westworld. Go watch Westworld. I just watched the 1973 movie. Go watch that movie. It's telling you what's going on here in this reality. Every breath you take. It's the A side to Murder by Numbers. Think about that. Take your breath away, I'll murder you. And there's some of the lyrics of this song. And look at what it says. Every breath you take, every move you make, every bond you break, every step you take, I'll be watching you. What's watching you? I know that Sting will tell you it was a song about something else, but as I've been showing, these people are being used, and they may think they're singing about something, but really, you know what it's about? The sun. That's what's watching you. The all-seeing eye. The eye in the sky, Alan Parsons Project. They're all telling you the same story. That's what's watching you. And we're in a movie, and we got 64 possible codons in our DNA. And that 156 is tied to the 9/11. This has got many weights, 153, which is tied to the fish story of how many of the fish that the apostles caught in the Christ story in the Bible, the Taurian Bible. So we're on one side of a movie, folks. So what about the actual release date of this album? Or this song, I should say. 20th of May. And of course, there's the 83. The album length, the song length, there's Pi. Or the 44. All playing tribute to the sun again. What do you think's in the middle of this? It's the sun color in the middle, sandwiched in between the blue and the red shift. Of course, thank you, Santo Spinacci. Blue shift, red shift. There's the Taurus fields with the sun in the middle. I mean, you can't miss this. Pretty easy once you know what you're looking for. But here's the day that this song came out, Murder by Numbers and Every Breath You Take, May 20th. It's the 140th, 141st day of the year in leap years. You must include the leap years as well because we every 4 years. And this element right here owns those numbers, or at least takes them. And it's the god of agriculture. Cerium from Ceres. And it's the 58. And as I've been showing over and over and over, and a lot of you have been showing over and over now in your great research, it's the puppet master. That's what's got your breath. And that's what runs murders. Runs everything. Sports, news, every damn thing down here. Script is fixed. Just to give you the symbolism from the tarot. I showed this, this is my birth card, but this is probably why I'm showing you this. But here's the 58th card in the tarot. Every Breath You Take. Came out on May 20th. Tied to Cerium, 58. And look at what it's saying. I mean, I guess, is this any more clear for any of you? How else do we to think of this? Trapped and limited. You ain't got nowhere to go. And your breath is not owned by you. So just enjoy life. Don't take life so serious. So what about this song right here? Right straight off of YouTube. This is the video of it. Wrapped Around Your Finger. Another huge smash hit off of Synchronicity. Wrapped Around Your Finger. So you have Murder by Numbers, Every Breath You Take, and now we have wrapped. Whose finger are we wrapped around? Yes, again, Sting is going to tell you it's about being under the influence of a woman, probably. But what do you see right there? It's the golden spiral. And what is the golden spiral? It's the sun, folks. It's the G spiral. That's what the G means in the middle of the square and compass on the Masonic emblem. It's the G spiral. It's the sun. Wrapped around. This one's going to blow you away because I'm going to bring the Tetragrammaton into this. There's no separation. Wrapped Around Your Finger, 99. Wrapped around your finger. So whose finger are we wrapped around? The sun. 99 through the string of pi occupies 2 digits, 44 and 45. Of course, that's going to be 89 in Yaldabaoth. We're going to get to that, but it starts at the 44. There's the gold currency. And of course, the word kill equals 44 in the English, as I've already shown. And there it is. Kills right there. And then here's a great artist rendition. I've shown this many times. I don't know who actually drew this, but great artist rendition of the Gnostic demiurge called Yaldabaoth, which could be running everything. This could be the star Sirius, or it could be Saturn. I don't know. The artist obviously is playing tribute to Saturn. Saturn could be running everything. It's a guess. It's a theoretical guess. Even with everything I'm showing you, this is my support, but it's still theory. It's still guessing. I mean, what are we else are we to describe here? What are we wrapped around? The sun. And just to kind of put a nail in the coffin with this whole thing and the sun being tied to the Yod-Heh-Vah-Heh, Yahweh, and the ancient Israelite God of the Bible, it's all the same personification. It's just a different wardrobe that it wears. Here is the word Tetragrammaton, and it's 14 letters, and we're going to do what's called the alchemology. If those of you that are new, alchemology is taking the numerology output of these words and then bringing those numbers into the periodic table, and then we add up all these elements. I've shown how accurate this actual methodology is. Here it is using the trusty calculator. If you want to put this on pause and add it up just to fact check it, please go ahead and be my guest. This is the number that you're going to come up with, 99.127. So Tetragrammaton being 47, which of course runs the White House in Washington, D.C., because they all equal the number 47. Square and compass equals 47. It's all a tribute to the sun, but it's tied to this element right here. One of the most famous scientists of all time, whether like the guy or not, it's Einstein, Einsteinium, and Einsteinium has an average weight of 252, and the 252 is not just any number, it's tied to the freaking golden ratio. The 1601st number is the 252nd freaking prime number. What is the golden ratio? It's the golden sun. So what is the Tetragrammaton? It's the sun. It is the sun. What is murder by numbers? From the sun. That's the direction, the instruction from the sun and the moon and the stars above your head. It ain't man running it. And of course, again, 14 letters. There it is, the sun. There's the subtleties of it. And just so we can be perfectly clear to end this topic, when you take the 99 and you add it to the 127 using the trusty calculator once again, you're going to get the number 226. What is 226? It's the atomic weight of radium and the number 88. Tied to yttrium in the 39 and time travel in the Taurus fields. This right here, folks, this predates any kind of religion, Hinduism and Christianity and Judaism and all of them. This predates it. Ancient Egypt does. I believe that anyway to be the case. And Ra is the sun, folks. It's the sun. So what is the ancient Israelite God of the Bible? The sun. It's Ra. Which one has seniority? Which one's older? Well, in my opinion, from all the people I follow and the archaeologists, it is Ra. And Thoth, and Anubis, and Sekhmet, and Ptah, and all that. All this story has seniority over any of the ancient texts that you're going to follow. But there doesn't matter. They're all the same. It's just a different wardrobe. It's the sun, tied to the moon, of course, and the stars and the zodiac signs. So all the ancients used the cosmos above because they knew. They knew that. So let's get into the last topic now. You having fun yet? This one, folks, this one really kind of sucked me in, this decode. I am not going to lie. This one I was like enamored by it. And I had gotten a lot of requests to do this. It's just been shelved for a while. Probably, I think I shelved it last year. It's been on the shelf for a while. Something triggered me to do it. So let's get into the police. The Popo. What runs the police? Police work for the government and states? No, they don't. They work for the sun. How about these guys? Very successful with their album and their music. Sting, of course, huge on his own solo acts. The Police. So what about Sting? I mean, this just gets comical with this tune right here. Here's his birth name. I didn't even know this because I'm not a huge fan of Sting, but here's his long birth name. Gordon Matthew Thomas Sumner. I get the Thomas in there and Matthew the tax collector. But it's the 106. So I'm going to do the alchemology of Gordon Matthew Thomas Sumner, just like I did Tetragrammaton. So here are I think it's 25 letters. And I didn't even put them all in here because I couldn't fit them. So you can go ahead. I did this 3 times to get my outcome. And this is what I got. You can please pause this and add all these up. You're going to come out with this right here, 226.217. And what is that 226? Goes right back again. Folks, are you seeing the patterns now? Who do you think this guy works for? Who do you think he's being used by? The sun. What's wrapped around his finger? King of Pain. He even says there's a little black spot on the sun today. It's the same old thing as yesterday. On that album, Synchronicity and Murder by Numbers. It's not man running this, folks. Man's being used to run the blueprint. They didn't create it. This is my support. So here is the actual album name, Synchronicity, with the spelling of the movie on the cover, using the 8s as the Bs. Look at what we got. A direct match. So, again, folks, this movie came out in 2002. This album came out in 1983. This guy didn't even know about the movie in 1983. How would he have gotten this right? And then people say, oh, well, they sat down and they would have to get everything else that I've shown you right to get all these things in sync. Folks, that's ludicrous thinking. And to do the timestamp, they would have to sit down and say, okay, we got to come out with this movie on these days because we got to get it linked to Raw. Come on, folks, when are you going to draw the line? There it is, May 20th to April 19th. Day this song came out, the day the movie came out. And it's 226 months. There's Raw again. There's the 699. You folks, there's so much more in here that I could continue to show, but that's the big standout. How are you to wrap your mind around what I'm showing you here? The timestamp of the album and the freaking movie that came out 18 years later. But people think man's coding this. Let's get into the 3 gentlemen that played on this album that make up the Police. Andrew James Summers, Gordon Matthew Thomas Sumner, and Stuart Armstrong Copeland, the drummer. Let's break down their birthdays. I'm going to do it with the cards. Let's start off. Andrew James Summers, born on December 31st. He gets the Joker card. The only birthday that has the Joker card is December 31st. And there are 2 ways to observe the Joker. In a deck of cards, there are 2 Jokers, typically. And from all my research that I've been doing, heavily invested in the cards, doing a lot of deep thought on this and really under a lot of masters to study the cards, it's the 0 and the 53. This guy's got the 33rd card in the deck, of course, the lead singer, the 7 diamonds, and then the drummer, Copeland, has the Queen Clubs, the 25th card in the deck. And when you added these up, just using, because if you don't like the 53, it's like, no, there's no 53 there. If you just think it's the 0 card linked to the Fool, no problem. You add the 0 plus 33 and the 25, you're going to get the number 49. And what's interesting about this is 16 plus 2 plus 31, get out your calculators, it's going to give you 49. If you add the 53 with the 33 and the 25, you're going to get the number 111. And in my decode of The Cult of Personality, a lot of you watch this. If you haven't checked this out, please check it out. Band from the 1980s, one of my favorite songs from the 1980s called The Cult of Personality. The lyrics in this song alone, it says, look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality. I'm everything you want to be. I'm the cult. This song, these guys were singing about the sun being everything and anything it wants down here in Wonderland. I'm the cult of personality. It's the cult of everybody. That's what this whole song's about. And these guys, their 4 birth cards, added up to the same exact thing that the Police did with their 3. Is that a coincidence? And it's linking to the sun, the magic square of the sun. And then, right here, I forgot to bring that in. The 607 is the 111th prime number. Drop that 0, it's the 67. 67 is the most magnetic element on the periodic table. It's the ho, ho, ho. It's the Santa element, but of course, it's the sun. The magnetic aspect of the sun in the 67. 67 is reduced down to the 13. 13 is Soul and Lucy. 13 is the sun. So we go back to their birthdays again and we add them up, 31 plus 2 plus 16. Whoops. We get 49. Where's that 49 found in the string of pi? Occupies 2 digits, 57 and 58. 57 and 58. Of course, that 58, go right back to, so what do you think these guys' lives were their own? No, they came together because they were predestined to do it. The script was already written before they even came out of their mother's womb. That's what I believe. I got enough support to show that. Broken down many bands now. Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, Prince, Michael Jackson, all the same results, folks. Their lives were not their own. Bruce Lee, sports, everything. It's all run by energies outside this reality, and it's the puppet master. 58. So we just keep going, and 58's tied to the 27. Remember what, we're going to get into the 27, but it's cobalt. It's chaos and order. This element, if you go look at it on the Royal Society of Chemistry, it's derived, and the icon is from the word cobalt, which means goblin. And it's got the dragon on there. Go look at the element. Go under the Royal Society of Chemistry and go look at the element and the icon and go look at the description. It's about the dragon, which is the sun. It's chaos and order. It runs chaos and order. That's what the CO means. Chaos and order. And cobalt is made in a lot of the batteries in some of the cars in Tesla. Battery, sun, the sun's a battery. 19 is battery, the sun's 19th card. It's pretty crystal clear. And the band, the police, there's the 27. I mean, how else are you to describe what I'm showing you here? Just using the Chaldean. See, when you bring in more ciphers, it gives you more chances. Just use one. Tightens up the story and the narrative. A lot of people don't want to do that because then they wouldn't be able to have a tight story. Numbers is 27. Police 27, tied to this cobalt, chaos and order, which is the sun. Currency is 27, which is what the sun gives off, which is what we all make up of through our emotional expressions. And then golden is what the sun is. It's the golden sun. All of these are 27, same cipher. Found from cobalt and 58. And remember, the May 20th is tied to cerium and the 58. The day that Murder by Numbers and the other song came out. Every Breath You Take. In the medicine deck, here's again another layer right here. 27th card in the deck is the dragonfly card. Folks, these people, this deck came out in 1988, by the way, as I've been showing. These people weren't sitting down with these layers. Like, the Police is my favorite band. Folks, come on. It just gets comical. And it's the dragonfly. What is the dragon? The sun. And the dragon is the most revered animal in Chinese culture. Fifth house of astrology in Western is ruled by Leo the lion, which is ruled by the sun. Fifth house in the Chinese is ruled by the dragon, which is ruled by the sun. It's the dragon. It's the S wave, the dragon wave. And it's tied to currency. It runs the police. It runs government. It runs the states. Runs the people. I think this is one of my few last slides. When you take the 57 and 58 found from the 49, found from these guys' birthdays added up, 57 and 58 equals 115. And there is the 11th house, Aquarius. There's the 5th house, Leo. What is Leo? Leo is ruled by the sun and the dragon. It's right there. You can't miss this, folks. This is how tightly woven with astrology, cards of illumination, medicine cards, Chinese zodiac, mainstream music, pi. You can see it's all tied together. Man is not coding this. Mankind is being used to deliver the blueprint to the world. And if there was any doubts, here's what the sun's mass mainly consists of. Hydrogen and helium. 73%, 25%. Hydrogen and helium. Here are the two elements. Going over to the trusty calculator and adding those up, look at the number that you get, 5.011. What were the two numbers that added up to in the string of pi? Where these guys' birthdays are originated from? It's the 115, which is going to be tied to boron. Boron's average is 10. Man is 10 in numerology. I mean, folks, this is the story. We are the sun in human form, the light bringer. Slow down into, that's what we're called humans, H-U-E. The color spectrum is from the sun. Without the sun, you ain't got no colors. From the natural light anyway. You can make them artificially, of course. And I'm bringing this in here. I know this is kind of like way off in left field, but I have a decode coming out on this topic right here. Just to show you that people were being used at this place. 2017, October 1st, I think it was. The worst mass shooting in the history of the United States, I think. At the United States anyway. The worst. I think it was 60 people. And of course, that's Feed the Wolf. This was the guy they pinned it on. Did he do it? I don't know. No way to tell. All we could do is go off of what the story says. Look at what his birthday is. April 9th. What is April 9th? 49. 49. 4/9. What are these guys' birthdays add up to? 49. These guys are being used. This guy was being used. Here's his birth card. Queen Diamonds, the queen. The queen bee. Lucy in the sky with diamonds. More sun reference. And it's the queen. Q is the 17th letter tied to the Yod He Vav He. And remember the loop in the reincarnation process. Those of you that are been here with this great research for a while, 19 and 20, 37 and 38, 46 and 47. 19, 37, 46. But it's going to be 39, 75, 93, which is going to be 3, 3, 3. This dude was being used, pinned on him or not. It's being used, and just to show you, here's the movie to finish this presentation. This movie right here came out in 1962, starring Frank Sinatra and company. Got remade in 2004. Great rendition of it by Denzel Washington called The Manchurian Candidate. If you haven't seen this movie, please check it out. The 2004 Denzel Washington one is a classic movie. It's awesome. But it's the story about people being used. And you get into MK Ultra and you get into all that stuff, but folks, it doesn't matter because those people are being used to do the MK Ultra. It's just all fractals. So you can go far down, far up as you want to go. Mankind, everything under this dome or earth or wherever you want to call it in this self-contained system is being controlled remotely by energies outside of us. This is pure support for it. And look at the card on the cover of this movie. It's the Queen frickin' Diamonds. And it's card 38. This guy was the Manchurian. He had an implant to kill the president. What'd that guy do? Well, you think that's a coincidence that he's got the same card? And remember, this is the 38th card. And remember what united the Washington, D.C. and Langley, Virginia, and 38 degrees north latitude. You think that's a coincidence? What do you think's running the United States and the governments? It ain't man. I can tell you that. It's not man. They're all being used. And this is no exception. So the 38 was obviously on the Murder by Numbers. A lot of you made reference to it. 38, the 83. This is the 1111. But there you have it, folks. There's my Murder by Numbers decoded. And I know a lot of you had a lot of aha moments, folks. This one, I literally blew this thing out within a day and a half, and it just sucked me in. I had it shelved for a while, so I had a little bit to go. I had some slides already done. But let me tell you, when I did this, I was decoding the Superstar Part 3, the sun, and this one came into my lap, and now I know why. But folks, this is undeniable in my eyes. This is my support. What did you see during this presentation? So anyway, folks, I want to just really give a big shout out to all of you great decoders. Whether you like me or not, a big shout out to all of you, because without, a lot of you are embedded in this. A lot of the things that I see, I go on to the decoding world and I see a lot of your great decodes and I pick up things, and this is what I come to. These are my truths. So, but a big shout out to all of you, and a lot of love I send my way towards all of you out there. And those of you that made it all the way to the end, they're hearing this message. I value your decoding efforts. And a lot of you are in here in this presentation. Just so many names to mention if I had to. But anyway, I'd love to hear what you saw. Leave your comments and descriptions. Thank you, each and every one of you, for your donations, your Patreons. I got my course coming out soon. Those of you that are still, I only have a few days that I only have in the calendar anymore. I'd have to selectively put you in for readings. Just send me an email, decodeyourreality@gmail.com. But that's all I got for today. My name is Logan. This is Decode Your Reality. Till next time, we'll see you later.